guys, it's me, zakUak, and I hope you're ready to start real programming, because today is our video in real programming, and we're going to be starting off from scratch. Scratch is probably the most known programming language for children, and it is especially designed for ages 8 to 16, but almost every age uses it. And millions of people around the world use this programming language, including in schools, libraries, in homes and community centers. With Scratch, you can program your own interactive games, animations, and other things, and share your projects with other people around the world. So, let's go. Here's the Scratch website address. Or you could also just type in Scratch on Google. And here's how you spell Scratch. S-C-R-A-T-C-H. So here are the two options of how you can program on Scratch. The first one is you can program online, but you'll need just search it up on Google, and then as I said, like on the links and how to spell Scratch, do that. And then online, you have to have the internet. But here's the other version. Scratch offline. Scratch offline, you have to download and install the app, and you don't need the internet for it. So let's start with Scratch online. Click Join Scratch, and then you'll see the form that you have to fill out next. Your username can be anything, but if it comes up to you that the username already exists, then just pick another username. Then remember the password and type it in. Then press the next button. Next, you have to do your birthday and pick your gender and your country. Depending on your age, it might ask you your parents' email. So so please have your parents with you and tell them to type in their email. Hooray! If this screen appears, join Scratch, then you're ready to program in Scratch. So when the screen appears, just click OK, let's go. Actually, I use both versions of Scratch. So now, let me show you how to download and install the Scratch offline and how to use it. On this main screen, scroll down, and then there's going to be support, and then click offline editor. Then you'll see the 3 steps. First, it's going to tell you to update Adobe Air if you haven't already. So try it, and it's not going to be a mistake. Next, download and install the Scratch 2.0 offline editor. And then a little lower, you'll see the versions of the offline editor. So if you're on Windows, then click on the Windows download screen. So as I said, you have to install this, and then when you've downloaded and installed it, then run the Scratch offline editor. On step 3, you can find support materials and also the instructions. Scratch is actually a real programming language, but here's the difference between Scratch. Here's the difference between Scratch and Java and Python and all that. In Java and Python and some other programming languages, you have to type in the words by hand. But in Scratch, there are really handy blocks that actually mean the same thing. So that's why it's made for children. So let's see how a real program looks like in Scratch. Here's one of the main components in a Scratch project. It's called a sprite. here's how it looks like. A sprite can be any object. You can draw a sprite, you can pick one from the sprite library, or you can even upload it from your computer. Even I can be a sprite. Here's another component, the background. A background is actually optional. In our first projects, we're not going to use it, but as we go through to the more complex projects, then you'll see the background is actually a really important part of the scene. The next one is scripts, or the comments itself. This tells the sprite what it needs to do. So what a sprite can do, it can change its look, it can move around, it can play music, and it can even speak. They also can react on the keyboard or input on your mouse. They can interact with other sprites, and I'll show you all of that later. So let's look at the command blocks. All the blocks are split in groups, like control, motion, event, and other. Now let's look a little bit how the Scratch interface looks. Here's the full screen mode. Over here you can change your project's name, and then the green flag is to start your project, and the stop sign is to stop your project. But now let's create our first simple program. Probably every person who makes his first project would probably write Hello World. So let's make our first Hello World project in Scratch. So if you're in the main page of Scratch, just click Create to create your project. Let's use the existing Scratch Cat sprite with our program. Now let's go to the Events category and drag the When Green Flag Clicked block to your screen. Now let's go to the Looks category and drag the Say Hello block, and then change it to Hello World. Done! Our first project, Hello World, is done. So let's see how it works. Let's click on the green flag. And as you can see, our cat says Hello World. Let's create a more complex program or game. Let's make a program that's called Clever Mouse. The mouse has to get the cheese, but it has to be careful because there are cats and they can get the mouse. So again, go to the main page and click Create. Or if you're already on the project page, then click on File, which you'll find on the top left corner, and click New. So let's give our project a name, and let's call it Clever Mouse. Let's delete the sprite and start over. To choose a new sprite, if you want to choose it, then click on the Choose Sprite from Library. So when you go to the Sprite Library, you'll see a lot of different sprites that are actually in ABC order, and they're split up into categories. So let's go to the Animals category, and let's start off with the mouse. So here's a good mouse for us, actually. Okay, we have the sprite, and let's start writing the program. So now let's get the green flag again from the category of events. Then let's go to the category control. Then let's drag out the block forever. Forever is actually a really important block, and here's what it does. You can put different blocks in the forever loop, and the forever loop will do this program forever until you stop it. Right now, we want the mouse to complete a program for it to do something forever. So now let's go to the motion category and drag out the go-to block. The go-to block simply tells this mouse, where to go. So we want it to go to the mouse pointer, which the mouse pointer is our computer mouse. Okay, now let's press the green flag and try and see how it went out, how our little script worked. So as you see, our mouse always forever goes with the pointer of our computer mouse. Now let's try to make our mouse smaller. So here's what you have to do to make it smaller. Go to the menu and press shrink. It's going to have 4 arrows pointing to the middle. Now let's make a new sprite. It's going to be the cheese. It's going to be the cheese that our mouse has to catch. Unfortunately, you can't find a cheese block in the sprite library, but that's not a problem. You can draw it by yourself. So, to draw a new sprite, go to the new sprite section and press the second option, which is going to be a brush. Click on the brush and then a screen will appear and you can draw your cheese. So here we're just drawing the cheese, and now let's paint the cheese yellow. Actually, it's not going to seem that hard. You just have to press the paint bucket and then press it, click on the cheese with it, and then it will color the cheese. But if there's a little space between the lines in the cheese, well, not only cheese, like in different sprites, then say the yellow paint, it will go all over. So now let's fix this so we don't have like everything in yellow. So we're just gonna zoom in a little bit, and then we'll finish the line. And also we could erase like part of the line that's out of that we don't need. So please pay attention to the set costume center option. It's really important because if you have a sprite and you don't set it on the center, if you don't set the center, there's going to be a lot of unknown mistakes because the center is going to be like anywhere. So your sprite would be in places that you weren't expecting it to be. So now since we drew it, you could see it's like too big. So here's how we are gonna shrink it. We can't shrink it with the shrink tool that I showed you a little earlier, but here's how we're gonna shrink it. We're gonna shrink it by pressing. You'll see on the bottom right corner bitmap and vector. So press convert to vector, and then click on a sprite, and then there's going to be a square with circles, and then that's how you shrink it. So you can only, also let me tell you that you can only make the program for one sprite. So on the sprite section, there's going to be your sprites that you have. So click on the sprite that you're trying to program, and it's going to be highlighted in blue lines. So that means that you're programming that sprite. So let's program the cheese block. Now let's change the name of our sprite. Let's make the name into Mr. Cheesy. So now let's try to hide the cheese, like hide it from from the page, like screen. So we're gonna drag the when green flag clicked, hide and wait, and then we'll wait a couple seconds. So we need to make it show where no one knows where the cheese is gonna be. So we're gonna use the pick random block. So here's how we're gonna use it. We're gonna use it with the set X and set Y, or set XY too. So we're just gonna put in the set random block and in there, and then it will set a random place for it. But so I'll tell you more about the random block later, but so we know right now the random block is for something to appear in random places. So we're gonna find the random block in the category for operators. Okay, let's see how it works. Let's press the green flag. Okay, we're waiting 2 seconds. Oh, wait, I forgot something. We have to make it show. We didn't do that yet. Let's go to the looks category and then drag on show. Let's try out now and see how it works. I think it's gonna work. Good, it works. Now let's see if it's gonna go in random places. Yes, now let's try out another time. Yes, it worked! Now let's add a little program to the mouse. Let's make it say, like, for example, yay, I got it when it touches the cheese. Now let's use a new little block. It's kind of like it's actually the shape of a forever loop, but it's gonna tell us if something happens, then do something. In our case, we're gonna do if touching Mr. Cheesy, then say hooray, I got it. Now let's add a new sprite of a cat. Since I mentioned it's gonna try to chase the mouse. Now we're gonna use a new block, meaning saying point towards. Point towards just simply means point towards something. Well, point towards is to point, to look in a direction. And don't forget about the forever loop. Here in the point towards block, click the arrow, the black arrow next to the point towards mouse pointer sentence, and then let's pick something else for it to point toward. Let's pick point towards mouse. Let's try. See? The cat is looking where the mouse is. Now let's add another command for the cat to not just look at the mouse, but also try to catch it. So we're gonna use the command block move steps. Okay, let's try. Ah! The cat is so fast, it's so hard to do the game. So let's make the cat slower.
That's better. Now it's better for the mouse. Now let me show you how sprites can interact with each other. That's actually a little bit harder. It's actually broadcasting. Now we need to do when the mouse reaches the cheese for the cat to disappear. That's going to mean that the mouse is winning. So now let's go to the sprite mouse. Be sure it's highlighted in blue, and we're gonna add the if then block. It's gonna say if mouse touching Mr. Cheesy, then oh, I forgot, we already have an if then block. So let's use this block. Now let's add the broadcasting part to the if then block. Just simply drag broadcast message 1 to the if then block under the say yeah I got it block, and as I said, the broadcast block simply creates messages for other sprites. Now let's make a new message. So where is the message gonna go from the mouse? It's gonna go to the cat, and the cat is gonna read the message, and then it's gonna disappear. So we're gonna drag the block when I receive message hide cat, then just disappear. Okay, let's play the game!
I skipped something in my Clever Mouse project. When I press the stop and then I press the green flag again, the cat won't show up. Maybe you know how to fix this. But so if you know, then try to do this by yourself and write me in the comments. And also, maybe you could add stuff to this project. In my next video, we'll improve this project and add more cool stuff to it. So, in this video, we learned with you how to start with Scratch, how to make your first Hello World program. Here are the blocks we learned. Green flag to start off your project. Another really important block, the forever loop, which simply just tells the computer to repeat a program all the time. You can put different blocks in there, and then the forever loop will make the computer repeat this code. We also got familiar with this block, point towards. The hide and show command just tell the sprite to hide and show. Set X and set Y commands mean where the sprite should be. Later on, we'll stop on this XY thing and we'll learn what this actually means. But right now, just remember the block. Another really important statement: if something happens, do something. You'll be using this a lot in programming. Broadcast. Broadcast means a sprite sending a message to a different sprite. This is really important, and it allows the sprites to interact with other sprites. So if you like this video, press the like button, subscribe if you haven't, and also please see my previous videos, programming intro and how to program. Bye! See you in my next video with zakUak!